All right, it's your boy Moolah. This week at that Fat Podcast, man. We finna see. A man gave his trust fund, his daughter trust fund, to his stepson. Hey, they say women leave when there ain't no money. So let's check this story out. Y'all tell me what y'all think.
Have one of my own. And I'd really appreciate some feedback as I'm pretty torn. Please excuse me if I trigger anybody, so here it goes. I'd firstly like to know if I am the a-hole for taking my daughter's trust fund and giving it to my stepson instead. Before you answer this, my story, well, let me explain of how this came to be. I was once married to Carlene, and we've met as teens, and I was honestly the first to fall, but once I asked her out and we got things going, it was perfect from there on. She was everything a man could want in a woman. Smart, sexy, loving, and just a beast in bed. Once I've gotten hold of my family business, I made sure to propose to her and it went great. She accepted and we were pretty much happily married 2 months later. Our relationship was the rare type. We almost never argued and everything just felt so complete. The only issue I had that I never really spoke about was that she was quite the spender. She loved to shop even for things she would never use. Still, as a man making good money, this wasn't much of a problem. Our relationship seemed to be even more perfect when we were gifted with our daughter Bella, who's now 23 years old. Anyways, all was well until a few years ago. I began feeling aches and pains for a good few months. As a man, I didn't really care, but after fainting in the office, I decided I need to get checked. I was shocked to learn that I have cancer. I was devastated and I learned that I would need to start treatment within a few days or it could spiral out of control pretty quick. It was a short time span to get over the shock and make the decision, and it was very violent cancer, so the treatment was also quite pricey. The day I sat my wife down once our daughter wasn't present and I told her, she cried and asked all the necessary questions. She was supportive, and once treatment began, I eventually told our daughter. For the first few months, everything was good. They were supportive, loving the same old wife and child, but as the treatment got more intense and cancer became more violent, I began eventually unable to work at my company anymore. Without me, the business was quickly falling and failing.
Money problems.
Plus, I had to be taking large sums of money to pay for the treatment. Eventually, I had to tell my family about this, and at first my wife seemed okay, but once the money started dwindling and she was unable to do activities she once used to, the woman I thought I knew became a whole different person. So, we end up always arguing and she wasn't present most of the time, and this only got worse when bankruptcy arrived. My daughter also changed, and it was only that I realized that I've spoiled her with my wealth. And once it was gone, she no longer uses me for anything. While I stood there fighting cancer, which only seemed to get worse, I was also fighting for my family, but when I had to switch to a different treatment method that had been developed and was said to be more effective, I requested my wife's help just to pay for it from her savings, and that's when everything ended. She told me she couldn't be bothered, that I should just die instead of destroying her life, and just a bunch of nasty things.
Damn. Just die and leave my money alone? That shit is crazy.
It was also then that she requested a divorce, also telling me that she's been cheating with my past business rival, as he's had more money and at least
And she banging her up because he got the big bucks right now.
he wasn't dying. I tried talking to my daughter, but she was also abandoning me, alongside her mother, saying also cruel things and even wishing death upon me, saying how she was embarrassed to be known as the girl whose dad was bankrupt and dying from cancer. She also made it clear that her new daddy was now my business rival, clearly stating I should forget about her and forget where we were ever related.
Okay, yeah. All y'all cut off. I would have cut all of them off with no. I wouldn't even care. This is bogus.
Basically, no contact cutting ties. So yeah, that's pretty much how my perfect life crumbled before me. Well, I did manage to get a loan from a close friend who learned about my situation, and thankfully, the new treatment worked. There were scary moments, but I recovered. During that recovery, I had a primary caregiver. Her name was Tia. She was there for me in my darkest of hours, and it was very hard not to fall. After recover, I eventually went back to the hospital and invited her to a date, which she accepted, and everything went up from there. A few months later, we were dating for a year, and we got married. She knew my story, and she absolutely hated my ex-family.
I wonder why.
Using her savings, she assisted me in building my business back from scratch. With the right drive, experience, and support, this wasn't hard. Years later, which is now current time, I'm healthy. Well, healthier, happier, and richer than I've ever been. Now, this is where the issue comes into play. So, my current wife, Tia, has a son, Javon. He's a smart boy, and I've spoken with him from the moment I began dating his mother, and we have come to an agreement. Once I and Tia got serious, I eventually began building a relationship with Javon. As he never had a father, his dad passed before he could even walk, so I quickly filled the role. Plus, I surprisingly enjoyed having a son more than I ever did having a daughter. We did a lot together, and from that, his potential was pretty clear. A week ago, I checked my daughter's social media like I usually do since, well, they'd cut all contact with me. From the social media postings, I learned that my daughter was getting married, and the one who would walk her down the aisle would be her stepfather. Still, that didn't hurt as much as what she wrote. She made it seem as if I was never part of her life, as if I'd abandoned her and her mom completely, making herself the victim. It honestly just broke my heart to know something so huge was happening in her life, and she didn't even care to even let me know. Instead, she chose to crap on me and all that I've done as a father for her throughout the years. After learning this, I finally realized that I've been holding on to wasted sentiments. So I decided to take the trust fund I'd originally made for her, and I gave it to my stepson Javon. After all, why should I still allow her to have it when she obviously didn't appreciate anything I did? Plus, all she would do was waste it on meaningless things anyways. So I gave it to my stepson, who I knew would make good use of it. After all, he was already pretty darn good at business, so he was very likely to scale the value, and this is what I ask. Am I the a-hole for doing that, or if I did the right thing?
Well, with that being said, y'all, I think he did the right thing because his own family left him and abandoned him when he was sick and he needed the most help at all time, of all time. And they left him because of the money. It's crazy. So y'all tell me what y'all think. It's your boy Moolah. This week at that Fat Podcast. I'll be back with another one. I'm out.